I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. As always, before we start our meetings, we always ask the good Lord's blessing on it. Go ahead, if you.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for letting us gather here today on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Thank you for the community we have. Please watch over the decisions we make, that they may be in honor of you. Let us speak to each other kindly and with respect, even in our differences. And thank you for all your blessings. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Levi, you want to raise the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on our agenda is checking our quorum.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good to see you all. And I'll go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Bechtold,
Here.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Present.
Mr. Cox,
Here.
Mr. Booth,
Here.
and Mr. Terman.
Here.
All right, you have a full count today.
All right, next is the approval of the July the 12th minutes. Has anybody got any? I'm sorry?
I think we need to do the agenda
Well, I marked it
first.
off again before I got to it. So I do that every time. All righty. Approval of the agenda. So, okay. So, anybody have anything you want to add to it?
Yes, sir. I'd like to add discussion and possible vote for a change in the personal property tax relief rate for this year.
Okay. We'll,
Thank you.
we can put that down, what, new business?
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, so that would end up as item, yeah, I guess 11D, personal property tax rate.
All righty. Anyone else? Go ahead and call the roll.
All right.
You want a
Oh.
motion?
Yeah, go ahead and get
Yeah,
the motion. I'm sorry.
I'll
I'm getting ahead of myself.
I'll move the, approve the agenda with the added vote of Supervisor Bechtold.
I'll second.
Motion second, call roll.
All right. On the motion to approve the agenda with the addition of item 11D related to personal property tax relief, Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, your agenda is approved as amended.
Now we'll approve the minutes of July the 12th. Does anybody have any questions, corrections, or whatever?
Yeah, you might recall I had sent them to you previous to the last meeting, but since it was so close to the last meeting, I didn't ask you all for a vote on them at that time. And I can go ahead and forward them to you again, and we can even move this later on the agenda or whatever you'd like to do. Obviously, apologies since I wasn't here yesterday. I should have followed up on this.
If nobody's, nobody has any questions or amendments, we'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second.
Motion is second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, on the motion to approve the minutes as previously presented for July 12th, 2022.
This is minutes.
I know, but I got a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Did you add my statement back into those minutes?
Yes.
In the discussion with Mr. Clark?
Yes, those are included in an
'Cause I
updated
hadn't
version,
I hadn't-
as amended.
I'm sorry, I hadn't
So-
seen them since you did that, so.
Okay.
Okay.
We can hold off, or whatever you'd like to do.
Well, just as long as it's got the mention of the
Right.
Penn Avenue
Yep.
meeting? Okay.
Yep. If that's all right with everyone. So, on the motion to approve the minutes of July
amended.
12th, 2022, as, with the corrections recommended by Mr. Booth, related to some DOT items. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, and thank you. I will get the updated copies sent out to you all today. Thank you for that reminder.
Next is the approval of the disbursements. Does anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion is second. We can call roll.
Okay, on the motion to approve the disbursements as presented, Ms. Bechtel,
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right, we will move forward with that, and signing all of these now, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Next on our agenda is Dr. Willer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Appreciate you letting me come first, especially this time of year. So, this is the first time in 2 years that we've had an open house. We've had some, probably the greatest excitement just because of where we've been at in the last 32 months. In my 35 years, everything that we have worked for and put in place and the resources and the opportunities are continue to grow, and I'm going to point some of those out. So this is probably the greatest opening school year with the greatest amount of opportunity because of the needs that are out there and because what we can offer as far as the support, mental health support, the academic support, and the opportunities for kids to be able to do things they haven't been able to do in a couple years. So this is a great year. We're looking forward to it, and it's a busy year anytime you try to build, but we got the certificate of occupancy for phase 1. We're in there. There's always little things. Touch-up painters were there last night. You know, a few units here aren't on, but there's a lot of connected things from there. Citizens did a great job, and we're wired and up and ready to go, and that'll be a whole unified campus. So we're very excited about that, and just as excited about phase 2. But just overall getting kids back. It was good to see families in the buildings last night, and we've had tremendous support. And like I've said before, send your kids to school, they're going to eat free. You don't have school supplies, we got a ton. We put that in our budget, our elementary, our school board loves that. We buy school supplies at the end of the previous year, and we get a lot of donations. If you noticed our social media feed plus our school board minutes that thanked many organizations. So we'll provide everything a child needs, you just get them to school. And believe me, the biggest thing we'll provide is a lot of love and care, and we'll make sure they have a good experience. But from that standpoint, you know, we're ready to go. I mean, it's not all perfect and put together, but we got a good traffic pattern at the high school. They're paving now. We can use buses only road, the new road going around, so we'll be we'll be doing that similar to how we did last year, and it worked out well with traffic at Floyd E. So we're good to go there. A couple things I know that I wanted to point out. I think Ms. Cookenbook, you had a question about the computer science grant, which Ms. Cromer got us. And anytime you get grants that are tied to state and federal money, they have terrible timing. They come late in the year every year. So you don't get them and you can't spend them. But let me tell you what that grant has done. 5 years ago, we put in, well, 6 years ago, we put in STEM labs in all the elementary schools. STEM labs are not a destination. STEM lab is an experience. And our instructional staff has done a great job of spreading that into the classroom. So nothing's a destination. Every resource we give is an experience and should be involved in every part of what the child goes through. And that child may be 18, that child may be 3. So we've had a lot of success with that, and it culminated to last year, Code VA, we had our first winner in the neighborhood, computing in the neighborhood. This year, the first time ever, Floyd County, there's only 2 winners picked from this region of the state. Floyd County had both of them. First time ever, Floyd County had a state teacher of the year. And that was our high school, our secondary instructional technology resource teacher, Kim Keith. So we're seeing this growth, and we said 6 years ago, we have the greatest potential with the smallest footprint in Floyd County. What we're doing is Floyd County. What we're building and working with Miss Martin, you know, these skills, you're going to have a junior college up there. We want our kids, if they want to go, we're going to get them somewhere. If they want to go to work, we're going to find them good jobs. And that's still growing, and we're excited about every program that we worked, and most importantly, we're excited about the benefits we give our 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and the literacy efforts and the resources we put in there. And so all that has grown, and that's as exciting as the facility that we're getting completed up there too. So looking forward to a great school year. And I know, Ms. Bechtel, you had, a question about the second school site. We just got to follow where the DOE finances puts things. In our budget, it was a budgeted position. That budget was for a school counselor. They're not guidance counselors anymore for a reason. The state put restrictions on school counselors or guidance counselors and changed the name to school counselors because of the mental health needs that position needs to serve. So school counselors are in the instructional line per DOE finance. That's how we're given the money. School psychs are in the administration line. So we had a school counselor, but we couldn't find an adequate one, but we have a really good 2 great school psychologists serving similar purposes. So that's why that position, we just have to move it. You can't just put it there, you have it there, and it's as easy to transfer the funds. It's not an additional position, but that's why that was there, and we just had to follow the state mandates through that. And I know you had a question on the grant. It's the School Construction Assistance Program. We have not gotten any word. I know that local school divisions and the finance department have questioned the DOE finance department. They said just look for some more guidance in the fall. Now, understand, any grants you get, there's no free money. These grants, from where our composite index fall, it's a match. So if it does go retroactive, the only amount they'll give us is 20%. You have to match 80%. So if we wrote a grant, and we have 13 units from the early 2000s that we need to keep an eye on and replace, if I wrote that in for the grant, we as a school system would have to come up with 80% of that. We don't have that kind of money sitting around. So if it's retroactive, when it is, we'll sit down and we'll talk and we'll try to throw everything we can into it and at least get 20%. Now, I guarantee you that money's going to have restrictions on it. Hopefully it can go back and just go back to the loan. I don't know. But once we know that, we'll look at that and work with you any way we can and go from there. But 20% is better than nothing, you know, if you can get it. So, but we're keeping an eye on that. We're going to look and we'll write whatever we need to write with it. But so far, everything's moving forward, and we're starting school tomorrow. That's more than a lot of school divisions can say. And the last thing we wanted after 2 years is to do anything, to change anything, to put another bump in the road for these kids, especially the younger ones. And we're fortunate we don't have to do that. So we got great people in the schools, and we're looking forward to see our kids. And there was a lot of exciting. Best opening I've been involved with in my 18 years as administration. So, y'all have any questions on?
I don't believe so. Hope you have a great school year up there.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
We will.
Go ahead.
On the free lunch and breakfasts, is that a grant that's helping to fund? You're just finding the, I mean, I think it's a wonderful,
CEP
wonderful thing.
program, you have to qualify for it.
Right,
Each school, a percentage of the students' socioeconomic.
right.
We don't exactly qualify for it, so we supplement some in our budget,
Okay,
okay? Not a great deal, which allows us. The state Department of Nutrition obviously loves it when all children eat free.
yeah,
And we were able to do that for the whole county. We've been doing it. Now, obviously, the pandemic with the USDA universal feeding is over, but we still, it really doesn't change what we do. We are still able to do that, and that's not a grant. That's part of what we do and what we qualify for through.
excellent.
So, and hopefully that'll go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I just wanted to applaud you on that. That's a wonderful thing that we do for our students.
It
and
is.
their
And
families.
it is. It's a great thing. Yes,
Yep.
thank you. And it was a mission of the school board when we came. You know, when I came in, we don't want anybody to spend a dime when they send their kids to school. We really don't.
Just wanted to update you. They are going to be, right now, it's still on schedule to fix that Baker Street entrance to Route 8 Thursday morning. I know, day after school starts. But my understanding, they are going to wait till after the school traffic goes through. But so you have that on your radar.
Yeah.
And also, I believe if you could explain a little bit, I didn't get to read it. I saw a little bit that we had a school recognized for its, go ahead.
Well, we do a tremendous amount of work. Robert Ratcliffe does a great job with our cyber safety. There's multiple programs out there. All our elementary schools do within the learning lab, we call them now. You don't have computer labs anymore. These are actual learning sessions that are technology-based, kind of goes from our STEM labs. And they all do lessons on cyber safety. We have speakers come to the high school for ours, for those students. And all our Chromebooks go through a security system that we can detect. And like I said, we've helped a lot of students and got help in the home late at night. And Robert Ratcliffe, our Director of Technology, has a lot to do with that. So Floyd Elementary used the FBI safety program. And so the FBI out of Richmond recognized us for using that in all our elementary schools, and there was only one other in Lynchburg that used it, but that is a priority that we do. So that very nice honor, and we appreciate, I mean, we work very closely with all law enforcement and all organizations like that.
That's why I wanted you to tell a little bit, because I think it's great that y'all are doing what you're doing. in that area.
Yeah,
And you're doing some very good work in that area.
Well, and it'll never end, I can tell you that, you know. I mean, it will never end, and it's just the world we live in and will continue to grow in, and there's always pitfalls that you got to protect the ones that need protection from. So not a problem. Thank you for those kind words, and I'll pass them along.
Please do.
Thank you for the clarification for that position. I think it would be helpful for me in the future, when you ask for those requests, to say not just what it's for, but what wasn't filled or why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, no problem. That's a very unique one, like I said, after the role of a
Right.
guidance counselor
Okay.
switched, and you got to get what you can get, and so we're fortunate, no problem.
Yeah. I think the more information that we can have, the better it is for everybody. Thank you.
I was just gonna follow up. I was at the open house at the high school last night, and a lot of people was commenting on the vocational center. I just heard chatter throughout the hallways from both kids and the parents that they're really excited and pleased with the opportunities for that, so.
It truly is. You're not going to go into another facility. Better when it's all done, when all the touch-up paint's done and all the plastic's down, but you're not going to go into another facility that's more functional in this country. I guarantee it, that serves their population as well as what that facility will do. We have a great partnership with Virginia Tech and RU, which will continue to grow, and NRCC. So there's going to be some good programs in the future that we're going to be able to serve. But it's a beautifully designed, functional building, and you know, I mean, when I walk in and I've seen the designs for 4 years, it just blows me away too.
A lot of excitement
Thank you.
on it.
The only thing I can say is I know some little girls on my end of the road that's sure looking forward to the march.
Well, good deal. We're looking forward to having them, and we'll be out. It's a great day for us. It always is. So we're looking forward to it. I'm gonna go have some bus meetings and make sure everybody's good, and the whole staff's out. We're gonna make sure we tie everything up, because you never know when a road's going to be paved and you don't know it and you have to switch. I appreciate the challenges though, Mr. Booth, I really do. I don't need any more.
Maybe not happy with the timing, but definitely not gonna be upset they're here.
I'm going to tell you what, you're not kidding. VDOT's our friend, especially when this weather turns cold. We love them.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thanks, sir.
And remember, you got to plan for a meal later on
Yes.
at lunch.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
Jerry's done reminded us a couple times. Don't see Mr. Cart. Oh, I'm sorry, you snuck in on me. You hid from me back there. So,
It was early.
yeah, you were early, but we'll go ahead.
Well, that was nice to hear from the school superintendent. We'll take that. And also sympathize with him about not knowing exactly when a contractor is going to get in pave. So we'd like to do some paving. We always like it when we can do paving, but those contracts have their time limits, and so it's just trying to figure all that out. Just a couple things. Mostly the last month has been a lot of trying to get maintenance, normal maintenance done in between storms. None of the storms have been like sort of widespread, but they've been very intense in the places that they have hit, have caused a lot of damage, a lot of brush down, a lot of trees, washouts and so forth. So we're chasing them around as we work on machining roads, and we have done quite a bit of machining roads, and even with the rain, there has been some dry areas, so we have dust issues as well. But mostly it's been patching where we can, getting machine gravel roads done, and getting some brush cut. There is more brush cutting to come. We're putting together a large crew with several pieces of equipment. Going to start in the Willis area and kind of go clockwise around the residency, which means check won't be till the last part of that. But we're going to start with we are starting in Willis. But it's going to be there's going to be a lot of equipment out, and so we're crossing our fingers all the equipment stays functional during this time that we have it. Not a lot of downtime. Other kind of things, I'm not gonna go into all the list of the roads that we have been able to get, although we did do some major pipe replacements on Thunderstruck and on Cyrus Mill Dam Road, and some pipe cleaning out on Reedsville. We are starting our snow meetings here pretty soon. I know it's pretty hot out there, but we are always thinking about snow, and we're always trying to hire more contractors and more contractors. So we're going to have a little meeting with some potential ones, trying to get some contractors signed up to help us out, because that's always a big part of our effort. The construction project on Silverleaf, because we're doing that with state forces and because we've had to have a lot of call-outs for storm cleanup, we've haven't made real great progress on Silverleaf, but we're going to put some more efforts here, hopefully, and get some help from our hired equipment contractor, who's a really good hired equipment contractor. So it may not be the guys directly out of the area headquarters there at Czech, but it will be our hired equipment crews that have worked hand in hand with us just about everywhere. It's hard to really tell the difference sometimes between them and our crew. They work real well with us. The large culvert replacement in Pilot continues. It's almost complete, but we are experiencing some supply issues for guardrail. So guardrail's been hard to get. That's the last piece that kind of goes on. But that, even the last piece, can hold you up for a little bit. So I'll keep you informed on when that plans to be open. That's have the temporary signals on it. But just a matter of when that guardrail can come in. And that's all I have as far as updates. So some things that I have on here we may get to in the question part. Like I said, the overlay surfaces with the surface treatment, a lot of the plant mix and slurry are still to come. So I don't know where they are on that, but I've got the list that they're supposed to do. I think I said last time that stone wall had been done. It had not been done, but it's on the list. About 5 miles of stone wall is on the list to be done. So.
I think I was down here last time. We'll start up here this time.
Thank you for all your work and your crew's work in this. I know it's supply chains and staff is hard to come by. In my district, I just have one thing that I'm aware of. Indian Valley at Rocky Hill, looks like there's a culvert failing. There's a recurring pothole and there's a depression forming across the whole roadway. And then in town, because there's been a lot of chatter about the issues with the stoplight, would it be possible to look into running one lane of traffic at a time so people can quickly make their right and left-hand turns without waiting for others?
I can float that to the traffic engineering guys. And we're also looking at a continuing issue that has been brought up before. They haven't got a resolution on that yet, but the two signal head thing, especially coming, I guess, going south on 221, especially when you're right there in front of the courthouse, people try to make that right. Yes. We're going to look at that as far as either removing a signal head, but maybe also striping it a little bit, so you're hashing out some spots in there to make it kind of clear that you're not supposed to pull up to the right there. It's really just one lane.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that, I was sitting there the other day, and I was below the bank. One came by, I thought they were gonna turn in the bank, they didn't. They come by that far back.
Right.
Wow.
And crossed, and just went straight up there and sat there. And the person there let them go, of course, because they'd done pulled up in front of them, and they were at the bar.
Yeah, and it's especially, as you all know, it's especially dangerous because you're not supposed to turn right on red. So you got someone sitting there and someone sitting here. If he's in his blind spot, you could have an issue there.
Right. And when I pull up there, especially in my van, I pull over to where there's almost, I know you're not supposed to, there's almost enough room on my left-hand side for a vehicle.
Yeah.
Boy, they shake their fist.
Yeah, don't tempt them, yes.
Hey, they, you know.
No, you're just following the law.
Yeah.
I don't know if, well, if you go to the expense of some kind of sign, even if you had signage, they wouldn't pay attention to it. So, you know, maybe talking to the state police or somebody and start handing out tickets, whether they're locals or whether.
Especially once we make it a little more clear that
Yeah.
you're definitely not supposed to do that.
Once we get it clear, then maybe we can have a sit down with one of the officers, and because it is dangerous. And the traffic, crosswalk lights, they got them fixed.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I watched that, but, and the sad part is, it's not tourists. It's locals that are not using the lights and at the crosswalks. And I still see them come up to the corner of the Farmer Supply and go diagonal over the wall. And, we can only do so much.
You can only do so much, yeah.
That's the thing. I want, just following up on that, I'm sorry. Want to thank you for the work. Thanks for the attention there at Baker Street. We won't talk about the timing, but hey, like I told you before, we'll take it whenever we can get it. We'll work around it. And thank you for meeting on the Penn Avenue. Have anybody had a chance yet to figure out what the right of way is?
They're still doing that research, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's gonna be, it
The
goes back a long
culvert
way.
there, if we could figure something out on that culvert, because it's just right off of the pavement, so I'm
Right,
pretty
that's
sure
probably
it's.
clearly, yeah.
If we could get something on that. And, she mentioned some of for depressions. As our guys are, and I know they're busy and covered up, but as they're going through, we've got places on our secondary roads where the culverts are dipping down. If nothing else, could the guys put cones out just as a general order to draw people's attention? I know there's one over on 730 that I've seen. I'm guessing it's a culvert. I didn't see it, I felt it. After it rains and it kind of fills up with water, it blends in with
Yeah.
everything else. But if they could at least get some cones, and I don't know if they have weighted cones or not, these little light cones, you can put them out,
They
next
get knocked
day
over,
they're
yeah.
over the bank.
Yeah.
But we have several of those culverts across everybody's districts
Yeah.
that, if in their travels, if they can add those to their trucks and they see one, stick it out and make a note of it. And I'm sure you've got a long list already, but
Yeah, and you generally know, superintendent generally knows about those. They drive around and see them. I think that one on Bethlehem Church went for quite a while before we finally got it.
yeah. Also on 730, the drainage off of Low Gap Road, there at the top of the hill, is working great. Problem is, it's across the road, coming back toward Route 8, it's worst full down there, and it's turning the water and stuff out on the road. The ditch is worse, look like a great big clod. Maybe a half hour of shoveling and the water will still go where it's supposed to.
At 7:30 and Route 8, where that,
No, 730 and Low Gap Road.
and Low Gap, okay.
Yeah. It'd be coming back toward
I see,
Route 8.
yeah.
You can't miss it if they drive up there, but maybe, I think all it'll take is a little shoveling work
Yeah.
there, so. But other than that, thank you for what you're doing, appreciate the work on the roads, and we'll take more you can do, the happier we'll be, so.
Yeah, again, thank you for the crews. I know it's been really hot out there, and your crews have been working tirelessly. I know the storms have caused a lot of difficulty, but Sunny Ridge and Double Springs are in need of some machining. If you could, please check on it. Sunny Ridge, I think, has been reduced a little bit in some spots to one lane again after all that great work being done.
Yeah.
So if somebody could go out there and check on that. With the Silverleaf, again, thank you, and if I could continue to put a bug in your ear about that little extension of it towards that small cemetery. If, when we're working on that, that can be people can remember about that. And also the brush cutting, I'm really glad to hear that you're gonna get additional assets to help with that. In my district in particular, there have been a couple of letters. I know you have received them, and I've been copied on them. There is a lot of overhanging trees, especially towards the northern end of Christiansburg Pike. So whatever you can do to help on that score would be great. I really appreciate it. And again, that's really all I have. And thank you. And thank the crews, please.
All right, thank you very much.
Hey, thank y'all for all your work you've been doing. A lot of the back roads in my district have been looking really good, and then the storms hit.
Yeah, that's
So,
the
but-
thing.
You know, but I guess the number one thing for, I guess it shares me and Linda's district, but we've got some complaints on Jerry Lane off of King Store Road. We have a member in the audience who's probably going to speak during public comment about the condition, but there's some concern about the some heavy truck traffic that goes down the road due to a business, but there's quite a bit of potholes, and because of the potholes, folks are having to swerve to the left and to the right, and it's making it a little bit dangerous for oncoming traffic. We spoke obviously by email about it, but I just wanted to go on the record that we did speak about it. So if y'all could maybe look at that, and he may be in contact with you guys to,
Yep, that'd be
to see if
fine.
y'all can come out and check it.
Sure.
And then on a thank you, the last meeting we had in the daytime meeting that you were here in July, I made a comment about a tree that was presenting a hazard out on King Store Road by the fire department. And I appreciate y'all's work. Y'all got to that
Oh, good.
quick, cut it up. It's not a hazard
Good,
anymore. So thank y'all for.
I think when I went by, it was still there, but they must have got it right after.
Yeah, I was out of town that week when we brought it up, but when I got back, it was done.
Good,
So
I'm glad.
Thank you for your work on that. That's all I got.
I'll start off by apologizing because I harped on you since November to meet with you, and
Well-
somewhere or another, lines got,
Well, that's probably halfway my
Yeah.
fault, too.
and I was just looking at my emails later because I'd sent you an email, and your name's got the E, right?
Yes, I have it.
Okay. So I've got two emails, so I thought I'd deleted one of them, and I think the emails I've been sending has been going to your counterpart, and
That could be. So he's usually pretty good at sending them to me, but sometimes it might get
Yeah.
lost in the email thing if it's not.
okay, well, I'm gonna delete that, and I will own that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that she understands that I dropped the ball this time.
Yep.
And,
And we'll pick a date and a time pretty soon.
yeah, we'll reset that because she still wants to
Okay,
meet.
we'll be glad to do it, yeah.
And that is one of the roads I was going to bring up this morning. Like me and Mr. Cox was talking about earlier, any road, side road in Floyd County has been slammed with these rains and
Yeah.
stuff. And I know we got in 8 days about 11 inches of rain, and over around the Buffalo, Burks Fork area, those roads are miserable back in there where it's washed them, and so if they get around to it to machine them as soon as they possible. I know they're really short-handed. And, also on this paving on 221 South, are they going to overlay that, or they just patching it?
No, it gets an overlay. Those are deep,
Okay.
it was damaged well below, so they had to do deep patching with a different kind of material or stronger asphalt, and it'll get a nice, smoother surface coat.
I know they're digging up the problem areas, but somebody said, well, why they dig them up, pave them, and then the next night dig them up again? I said, I don't know, that's
Yeah.
their job, it ain't mine. So, yeah. But
Sometimes they do have to just put stuff back just to get traffic back on it. And so
just
sometimes you-
enough
yeah,
for
just enough-
traffic
yeah.
to use. Because we got one lane this morning for about a half mile, it's pretty rugged coming across it, so
Yeah.
school
drive through there,
buses is
too.
gonna enjoy that one in the morning, so, but, like I say, just regular maintenance on the road is about all I'm hearing about, just gravel and, machine work and brush cutting.
Right.
So, thank you for all y'all do, and I'll send you an email, and maybe
All right.
we can get to the proper email
Yeah.
this time. Yeah, and, then we'll try to set another date. So,
Okay.
Just follow up.
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up. Just in an effort to save clarity and time moving forward for the, Mr. Vest, who's gonna make a public comment. We had spoke earlier, and I told him, I said, when you make a public comment, the board doesn't speak back, and Mr. Clark likely may be gone, but could you just give a real quick explanation of, should you want to repave or something, what process is involved in that? I don't know myself, so.
Yeah, really, it's just a matter of, each of our area headquarters has a pretty good idea of what roads need an overlay, then we choose, then it's the type of overlay you gotta, and we're given a budget of a certain amount of dollars for plant mix, asphalt, like you get on 221 and Route 8, versus a surface treatment, this is what we call it, but it's a tar and gravel, and it's rough for a little while, but it generally settles down. And sometimes you can't tell after a road, some of these very, very old roads are in pretty good shape because they've had layer upon layer upon layer of that tar and gravel applied to them. And there's one more treatment we do. It's a slurry seal, and really it's a glorified driveway sealer kind of thing. It's more to just if a road's in fairly good shape, you seal it, and hopefully you keep water out and it's not getting a whole lot of damage. It doesn't add any kind of strength to it. You try to do a little bit of patching, maybe some minor patching, but it's really just to preserve the life of the road, a slurry seal. So our main types of real overlays are plant mix overlay and surface treatment overlay. And for instance, this year, just on the secondary, when we talk about the primary, we're doing, usually the plant mix is on your higher volume ones, like, for instance, this year it's Stonewall, Duncan's Chapel, and Ridgeview. And that's a total of 8, 10-ish kind of miles for overlay. Surface treatment, there's a list here, but looking at the list, it's like 4, 6, 7, maybe about the same, maybe in the 10-mile range. So you're only doing really 20 miles per year in a county with 600, well, 300, because 300 are unpaved. 300 lane miles of secondary road, roughly. So it's just a judgment call by there's no formal. I mean, there is some review, especially of the primary. I mean, those get rated and reviewed. The others are what'll fit in our budget and what the area superintendent in the area, and there's 2 in Floyd, what they see when they drive around looking at their roads.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not like the 6-year plan where it's, really, set for the next several years. It's more of a year-by-year thing.
So again, David, this is a road that's right on our line between our 2 districts. So it would appear to me that it may have been a road that has not received the kind of attention in terms of the maintenance of those potholes, and just filling of them. And I know you go around and you do that. Now that we've brought it to your attention, maybe it can get
That definitely helps.
definitely a little TLC there.
Yeah, because yes, they get around all the roads. They don't ride them every day,
Right.
certainly. Every month, I mean, it's tough for our superintendents to hit every road.
And the commercial business that is there is doing really well, and that's great. But it does add to the usage on that road.
Sure.
So, yeah, so whatever
And
can
I'll
be
use
done.
Fleeger Hill as an example. I drove through Fleeger Hill a couple times and just had to call the superintendent there and say, have you ridden that lately? Because it's not
Right.
in great shape. He goes, well, no, I haven't used that for a while. And Fleeger Hill was a mess for a while. And that's kind of a cut-through kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe the condition of the road discouraged that a little bit. Maybe the residents aren't too crazy about it
Cut
being,
through.
Patched up a little bit. You might get more traffic now. But either way, I mean, yes, certainly a road can slip if it's,
Right. Anyway.
if it's not seen by the superintendent on a regular basis.
Right. And that's why it's good to reach out to
Absolutely,
your
yes.
supervisors
No,
and
this
let
all,
them
this
know.
all helps, because no, there's not, it's not like, every road is on a list that we check off. Okay, I've reviewed that road 6 times this year.
Understood.
It may not necessarily happen.
Well, I appreciate the
Thank you.
information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is just for my edification. I thought about it while Dave was listening. I know anything's got a petroleum product in it right now is sky high.
That's true, too.
And is that going to affect y'all's repaving as far as how much asphalt y'all put in? Because it's got to be costing
It could
these.
very well. We haven't gotten the numbers for next year, but it's reflected in the cost of the material, obviously, and contractors' costs.
Right. That's what I mean, these asphalt plants, going to cost them, so it's going to be passed on. So I was wondering if that was going to affect how much roads that you could pave.
Right now, we've been told just to go ahead and make next year's schedule about the same, but usually we get adjustments to that. It's it's never add more roads. It's usually, well, here we go, can you cut another couple miles from your list?
Yeah.
So, something like that.
I know you're on a shoestring now.
Yeah.
and I'd say it's getting shorter.
Yeah. And those types of overlays don't get budgeted at the residency so much. It's not part of my budget. We have an overall overlay plan for both primary, secondary, and interstate at the district level, and targets to meet, mileages to meet. And so they're trying to manage that on a 12-county kind of district level.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you. All right, next on our agenda is our public comment period. It is the intent that all persons attending the meeting of the board, regardless of handicap and conditions, shall have an opportunity to participate. If any person present requires any special assistance, please let the board know in order that arrangements can be made. Got a frog this morning. I do want to say, I know what the main topic is probably going to be about. But let's keep in mind, there's two sides to every issue. There's going to be opposing issues. I will not put up with anybody in the back interrupting the speaker, talking behind her back, or shouting at the board. We're mutual up here. We got to listen to both sides. At the end of the day, we're still neighbors, hopefully friends. So I'd like to keep it that way. So when you come up, limit your time to 4 minutes. State your name and the district you're from. Also, when correspondence is read into the record, normally staff reads a little slower than what people speak, because they got to get it clarified where they can transcribe it. So usually we allow them just a little bit extra time. So I want you to keep that in mind. So if you got a sign-up sheet, I'll let Dr. Millsap call.
So if you have interest in speaking, let's see, we have 5 people. Is there anyone else besides these 5 that would like to speak? If so, if you could go ahead and sign up and then start calling. Is that everybody? All additions, deletions? All right, so Ms. Gale just asked to be removed, so she.
If you want to, you can just call them and you got that.
So it looks like right now we have 6 folks, Mr. Chair, that would like to speak. And we'll just go in the order you all signed up, if that's all right. And the first person is Wade Wilson.
I'm going to speak a little slow, so you might give me a few more minutes.
So,
I'm Wade Wilson. I live in Timberline in Locust Grove. Been here about 5 years or so, but my wife grew up here, so we have a lot of good family roots here, a lot of family I'm very proud of. They may not be proud of me, but I love them. I do a little part-time Uber driving whenever I go to Roanoke or Christiansburg. And I've gotten to where I work for some of the hotels once in a while to take guests, maybe to the Chateau Morissette, or in this case, Floyd Fest. There's almost always, a few rides out to Floyd Fest. And I picked up one couple this last Saturday. Very nice couple. Took them out there. Great conversation. They talked to everyone, or talked to people. Linda, please pay attention. This is going to get to you in a minute.
I am paying attention.
Okay, you're just looking
Taking
down.
notes.
Just looking down, okay. They seemed to think everyone in Floyd was very excited about it. They were happy. So as I was driving out there, of course, I pointed out how this was going to affect the neighborhood, you know, our neighborhood. They appreciated that point. While I was out there, I drove over and spoke to the sheriffs that were right there on the parkway. If you come up the dirt road on the parkway, they'll have a couple of flagmen, and that's the sheriff's car. So I pulled over and asked them, what law enforcement issues do they come into? And right away, drugs came up, a lot of DUIs. They said the foot traffic just goes everywhere. And right about that point, some car came down the parkway going 50 to 60 miles an hour through the 25-mile-an-hour zone. Both flagmen had to jump away. And one of the sheriffs said, well, this is what you can expect. When I picked them up and brought them back, you know, they had a great time. The young lady was sitting in front. She was a little bit more intoxicated than the male in back. Had a great conversation on the way back, and whenever I dropped them off, the young lady reached into her purse and said, here are 2 hits of acid for your tip. And, you know, I don't think I look like someone who does acid. I try not to. So if they would approach me, think what they're going to do to your kids and your grandkids out there at Floyd Fest. Drugs like that are just everywhere. My next point is the qualifications for being on the Board of Supervisors. One of the qualifications states that you must reside in Floyd County. Now, Linda, I believe your address is 539 Dobbins Hollow. I checked with the post office and several websites, and every time it comes up, it's in Montgomery County. And it says you must reside in Floyd County. So I'm just wondering why you're allowed to sit up there. One last thing. I drove in this morning from Timberline Road behind Mr. Cox in his truck, you know. And he was going about 65 to 70 down 221. I don't think he ever slowed down to 35 or 25 coming into town. Going down Locust, he was almost up to 40 at one point. So I'm just, you know, I have concerns about that. You should be setting an example for people. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the next person on the list is Gerald Vest.
Yeah, my name is Gerald Vest. I'm here to represent 91 of my residents on the road I live on Jerry Lane. It was unanimous. No one refused to sign this petition. And all the things that y'all have talked about, or Mr. Clark talked about this morning, are not being done on our highway, on our road. It's 1.5 miles. There's 52 residences, 2 businesses, and the drain, you can't even see the culvert pipes in some places. I got pictures to prove it all. I'll read to you, since it's going to give me 4 minutes, I'll read you what I have written here, and if you'd like a copy of it, I'll be glad to give you a copy of it. Of course, I told you, my name is Gerald Vest. I live on Jerry Lane. VDOT was contacted, I think, around 3 weeks ago by Levi. As far as we know now, unless he's got something lately, nobody's come and looked at these problems or done anything, as far as I know. We got a thin coat of surface treatment, just like he was talking about. We got tractor trailers on it all the time, every week, that we didn't used to have. This road was surface treated one time that I know of. I've lived there for 65 years, so I know what's happened on that road. There's not enough, that surface treatment is not gonna hold up. Everywhere that you see that those trucks have been, and I'll show you in these pictures, it's busted. It's not gonna support it. And then they've patched a bunch of holes up on top of the hill there where they've put coal patch in for 15, 20 years, and I got some pictures here that you won't believe. It just comes right back out. They take a motor grader and try to scrape it down so it'll be smooth, and it's worse than it was to begin with. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this. We got a lot more traffic than we've ever had, and of course I said tractor trailers included. We have cars and trucks on the wrong side of the road to miss the potholes, and a truck coming the other way. We got a truck coming down that hill with the trees sticking out in the road, and he's on the wrong side of the road because he's trying to miss those trees. So you got a head on right there. It's just a matter of time. Okay, so anyway, that should have been done. They used to take that old bush hog and cut those trees back right there so that we could see coming down that hill right there. That hasn't been done for I don't know how long. It's been a long time. And like I said, drainage is water standing in the road, drain pipes. Some of them you can't even see the hole in the end of it. That's how much they stopped up. So he was talking about the storms, but if you clean the ditches and the pipes out, would help a whole lot. And that's regular maintenance as well. They should have already done that. That should have already been done. All right, and we've had a couple near misses at the bus stop. I think there needs to be a speed limit reduction. And I've been on VDOT's website, and it says 25 in a business, residential, or school zone. 35 on an unpaved road. So I think the people that I've talked to, these 90 other people that I've talked to, are satisfied with 35. But I live in a place where there's a long straightaway, drag strip I'd call it, and I've seen them run too fast. So that needs to be looked into. They used to put a rope across the road to count the traffic. I haven't seen one of those for I don't know how long. It's been a long time. So that hasn't been done. Lord, I've already talked about the cars and the trucks on the wrong side of the road. Not enough pavement. It won't support these trucks.
Mr. Best,
Yeah.
your time's gone.
Okay,
but
would you like a copy?
Yeah, anything. I meant to tell everybody that if you got anything written down and you want to put
I
in the
sure
record.
do. I'll
just-
give you a copy of it right here.
Okay.
And I was gonna give Mr. Clark a copy, but I guess he didn't have time to
Well,
wait for me to give it to him, so.
We'll make sure that he gets a copy of it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna give you a copy of the petition. And then here's one complaint that was filed with VDOT that never anyone responded to either. That's included on this right here.
Yeah.
And the rest of what I didn't finish on there. But I think I've covered most of it. It's not hard to see the problem. All you gotta do is just ride out the road and you can see it.
She'll make copies for each one of us. So-
I'm gonna save these pictures for the next person at VDOT, someone that will talk to me.
If you want to let her make copies of them.
No, you can have those. I got some more copies.
Okay, all right. So,
All right, thank you, Mr. Best. The next person is, I believe, David Whitaker. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker.
Thank you so much for giving everybody a chance to have public comment. I just have two statements. I have one statement.
David, we know who you are, but for the record.
Courthouse District. I'm a citizen of the Courthouse District, and I'm speaking as a citizen. I wonder about the logic of putting the closed session in the middle of a meeting. I'm wondering what was the logic behind that, and I know that you don't have to respond, but you got a lot of people sitting here, and what are they going to do while you're having a closed session? I've been here before when the closed sessions were almost an hour, and people were sitting and waiting, and so I don't know. Okay, the other thing is I'd like to invite everyone to a special celebration of life that would be on this Saturday from 11:30 to 1:30. And it won't be like a parade. It'll just be a march, prayer, and songs. And it'll be a celebration of life. And we will meet at the courthouse parking lot just for a stroll through town, celebrating life. And I just want to invite you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. The next person on the list is Miss Kelly Yates.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Yates, and I live in the Locust Grove District. As the supervisors know, and as my fellow citizens know, I am strongly opposed to the relocation of Floyd Fest and its other associated events to a property they have announced will be called Festival Park. Once again, they have bucked the current amusements and entertainments ordinance as it stands because they are advertising and promoting the event. I'll refer you back to section 6-33A again on that. This morning, I would like to bring attention to necessary updates and action plans associated with the comprehensive plan and the amusements and entertainments ordinance. The comprehensive plan per section 15.2-2230 of the Virginia State Code requires the plan to be reviewed by the Planning Commission every 5 years. I'm not able to find a record of whether the plan has been reviewed this year, and it's the plan's 10th year. I strongly agree with the current published comprehensive plan, and I'm left to assume that the Planning Commission and this board also agrees with the comprehensive plan as it stands. And as such, I ask that the board appoint a committee of independent citizens of Floyd County on which no members of this board or the Planning Commission shall serve, to review the goals of the plan as stated in Chapter 11 of the plan and determine strategies to support and implement those goals and enforcement strategies for those goals, as it appears that current governance in the county is not acting in accordance with this plan. As mentioned during the supervisors' meeting on July the 26th, 2022, there are major changes and updates necessary to clarify the current amusements and entertainments ordinance. The county attorney admitted that portions of the ordinance are ambiguous. This troubles me greatly, considering the potential of a relocated Floyd Fest and its, again, other associated events to an event venue in Czech, a predominantly residential community with a church and farmland surrounding it. Additionally, it troubles me that a member of the current Board of Supervisors served on the committee to update this ordinance in 2017. And as a result of that ordinance and the updates, the citizens have been left with an ambiguous ordinance. This ambiguity is antithetical to the purpose of such an ordinance, which should serve as a clear guide as to appropriate permissions and limitations for events. As such, I ask for an additional committee to be appointed of Floyd County citizens to include both those concerned about the negative impacts of amusements and entertainments, as well as those who are in favor of such events, to readdress the amusements and entertainments ordinance of the county. It would be inappropriate for any member of this board, the Planning Commission, or any other appointed board or commission to sit on that committee. That committee, the one dealing with the amusements and entertainments, must be independent from this board in order that its work be considered well-founded and in the best interest of the citizens of this county. I ask for your consideration of these two committees and intend to ask for time on the agenda in an upcoming meeting. Thank you.
Linda, you didn't look up once during her speech.
No comments. You've done spoke. We don't, I mean,
Just
you know,
observing.
we've been fair with y'all. I'm not gonna argue.
I just want people to pay attention, that's all.
Mr. Chair, the next person on the list to speak is Miss Becky Howe.
Good morning, Becky Howell, Burks Fork. I just want to echo a couple of comments that have come from the board this morning. I noted Kalinda, when she was speaking with Dr. Wheeler, pointed out that more information is good. I think that serves us well also. The more information you all can give us about what's going on, the better we can understand it. And also, Chairman Turman, you were talking about the behavior of the people in the audience here. Could you be more specific and tell us exactly what's expected when we're making public comments so that we could actually follow the rules? Thank you.
All right. And then, Mr. Chair, I have one more name, John Myers.
So, name's John Myers. Used to be in the Little River District. Now I'm back in the Courthouse District. So, just brief comment, two comments actually. One, I definitely share concerns about the Floyd Fest coming to check and what effects it would have on the county as a whole. The other comment that I have is I'm actually here to fulfill a promise I made to a young lady that I worked with. There's a little stretch of road in between the Floyd tire shop and the Floyd laundromat. It does not currently have any lights, like any illumination on it at night. And, there are people that live in Gray's Trailer Park or in that surrounding area that sometimes have business in town. And they are not in the place where they can get reliable transportation. So sometimes they have to walk. Now at night, that area, you can't see your hand in front of your face. And if you rely on glasses to see, that's even worse. Now this young lady at one time lived in the trailer park and worked up at Food Lion. She had no reliable transportation back home. So she walked home in the dark at night. And one of those times, she was attacked in the worst possible way. So I promised her that I'd bring it up one of the times I come here. So this is the first time that I've had the chance to do it. A couple of, even one light in that area between the tire shop and the laundromat might help out the less fortunate among us. Thank you for your time.
I'm not on the list, may I speak?
Okay.
If we could, just for the record, if you would, put your name on and come up and speak, then that way, when we go to.
I'm official.
You're official, and then when we go to put the minutes together, it'll be easier on us, so thank you.
Linda Wagner, Courthouse District. Two things. Number one, Jerry Booth, you and I have had many, many discussions about crosswalk on Main Street in Floyd. I guess it's, I don't know, it's buried in your emails and your mind. You've done nothing. There's not been a crosswalk there since the last sign was hit and removed and it's never been replaced. You've guaranteed me that there's a sign going up. Nothing's happened. That's number one. Number two, I don't know who in their infinite wisdom put this desk right here. Everyone has had to fall over Mr. Wade to get to this podium, and I have a little bit of an agility problem temporarily, and I think maybe it could be addressed. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll declare the public comment period closed. So we'll move down to our old business, which will be a closed session. So I'll take a motion to go in under a closed session under 2.23711A1 for infrastructure and lease and space issues.
So moved.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, on the motion to move into closed session related to lease and space issues in the county buildings under 2.2-3711A1, discussion or consideration of the investment of public funds where competition or bargaining is involved, where if made public initially the financial interest of the governmental unit would be adversely affected. Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. Cookinbook,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, we will move to closed session. Thank you.
Motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, call the roll.
All right, on the motion to come out the closed session, Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right,
I take a certification motion that we only discussed those things we went into closed session for.
So moved.
Second.
okay. On the motion to certify that we only discussed the items outlined we were going to discuss in closed session, Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes.
All right, you are out and certified.
Okay. I think I had a
Thank you.
request that we take a 5-minute break. All right. Try to Move on down to infrastructure.
Mr. Chair, we have a quick question. So we found one of the letters we had failed to bring up that had been sent in for public comment. And so if it would be all right with you all to go ahead and read that at this time, because we've been given permission to do
I
that.
actually forgot to ask you when, earlier. Okay,
Well, between us all,
yeah.
we have
yeah.
it now.
There you go.
So,
Go ahead and time it, you know, just try to keep the peace. So,
it's not terribly long, this
Okay.
one. This is from,
yes, go ahead.
This is dated August 5th, 2020. Dear members of the Board of Supervisors, and this is from, and please, if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize, Yasmin Sonnenberg. My name is Yasmin Sonnenberg. I own a house and property on Timberline Road. I was at the meeting on Tuesday, 7/26, and I would like to address two issues. Number one, the two letters you read from Streamline Timber Frame and Dr. David Lander talked about how great and non-dangerous Floyd Fest is. Although these assertions can be challenged by facts, 49 cases have been reported in the past 10 years at the Floyd Fest, including drug possession, assaults, rape, etc. I want to point out that these letters were not relevant to what the residents are opposing. We are not opposed to Floyd Fest. We are opposed to the proposed new location at 5826 Floyd Highway North. We think an event that attracts so many people should be held in a location away from any residents, not on a prime agricultural land close to permanent residents. Number two, it is important to be aware that although the issue we are talking about now is Floyd Fest, most likely there will be many more events happening on this property, creating more noise and air pollution, traffic issues, etc. for residents both close to and away from the site. I am attaching a photo of the front page of the Floyd Press from June 16th, 2022. In the article, Sam Calhoun, the COO, states that the location opens the festival up to more opportunities. I would like to know what that means exactly. Based on these 2 points, I'm asking you to say no to the relocation of Floyd Fest to 5826 Floyd Highway North. Thank you for your time and consideration. I would like my letter to be read at the supervisors meeting. Yasmin Sonnenberg. And just for the record, she did attach the picture of the Floyd Fest noted on June 16th. Thank you.
Technical question, probably for Chris. I know all of us probably got two. I think we actually got one in the mail, so that took care of that one. But you know, like, there's another email came in. It's on our county phones. Does that need to be put in a file with the rest of the ones that's coming in?
if they noted that they wanted to be considered public comment, then if you all would be so kind as to forward it to Kim and I.
Right.
And if they put, it can be just public comment that they want you to be aware of, but they don't need to be read, or if they would like it read, whichever their instructions are, but then that way we can have it in the.
Well, the one they sent, each one of us one, I'm sure, but then we got one in the mail this morning. But then there was another one came in. I have to go back and look at mine. It may be the same one you just read.
We do have, may I?
Yeah.
Sorry. In the event that it is emailed and or mailed, I make every attempt to contact them and ask them if they would like for it to be read at the meeting for public comment. We have a copy, thank you. That one did not state in that letter to be read, so I will attempt to make contact. We do have another one, and Ms. Yates also stated, I will reach out, because when she sent it in the mail, there was no corresponding opportunity for me to ask. So I do have her number now from another letter that was received in the past, and I'll reach out and verbally ask her and make note of the conversation, try and read it.
Well, any correspondence that's sent to us is public record. So I would recommend just putting them in the file, all of them.
Oh, yeah, we make note in the file if they want them to be read
Read.
at
Right,
the
but
meeting.
all of them do go in the file. I think that's what you
Absolutely.
were,
Right,
I
right.
think that's what he was getting at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah,
I just want them,
all in one place.
I want them all, yeah,
Oh,
all in one
absolutely.
place where it,
We could put them in one place or they correspond with the timeliness of when we have the meeting. I put it in correspondence.
right.
Right.
Because in the emails I got, they didn't say one way or the other. So I just want to make sure that they're safe somewhere.
They
Yeah,
are, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
All right,
Yes,
so,
yes, any letters we get like that go in, and then it's just a question of, do they want them read?
and for clarity, both of them has been against Floyd Fest, you know, but we would do any correspondence like that. So,
Yes. You
All
know,
righty.
we've been collecting more and more correspondence on a variety of topics for you lately.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And, all right, we'll move on down to, B, infrastructure.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think that's, yes, we're at the VATI grant update, which is why Ladina's hanging out with us.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Is it on?
Oh, can you hear me
I've
okay?
gotten really, we missed one meeting that we missed one speaker, so I've gotten kind of focused about making sure.
Okay. All right, first of all, I'll just mention that we did get official closeout of the first VATI grant that we got from 2019. Remember, that's the one that did Copper Hill area, and that was finished up, I believe, well over a year ago. But the paperwork that we do tracking it has to go on for about 12 months, so that's why it's just now wrapping up. And I'm also, hopefully you saw in your folder that we would like to move forward with a new VATI, that's Virginia Telecom Initiative application in conjunction with Citizens. As you know, the 2022 grant that we got is to complete the last 3% of state roads in the county, as well as some qualifying long driveway, individual driveways. This year, all that remains in the county, from my understanding, are some private roads, shared private driveways, and so that is what Citizens is proposing to cover with this grant application. You can see on the handout, the total project is about $2.1 million, of which Citizens would commit $744,000. The remaining would be asked for from the state grant funds, $1.367 million. There would be no request from the county. It's just that you all are the only eligible applicants for this pool of money. So I bring that request for your consideration today, along with, if you're so inclined to approve application, also authorizing any required signatures.
It's basically the same agreement as the last time,
That's
and
correct.
we're held harmless. If for some reason something doesn't get spent, then Citizens is on the hook, not us.
That's correct.
I know that's
Yeah.
not, Steve would
Yes.
cringe at that explanation, but,
Yes.
but basically,
Yeah, you all.
we're a flow-through.
That's right. You all, we have a document that we use and we would use again where essentially you all hand over all responsibilities that the grant funds are to be used for and completed. Citizens assumes that responsibility, and you all are essentially passed through, and we as staff do the paperwork part of it, but you have no cash involved and no separate liability from that.
Was the addition of the apartments something new? I don't remember seeing that in our original discussions.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was new to me too.
Okay.
They added it in. I think they want to give that a try. They've tried before to find funding for that, and so I think they're just giving that a try. I don't know how that will fly, frankly, because it is going inside of the buildings.
Right.
So, but they are giving it a try.
Okay, yeah, I think it's fine, because that's an underserved
Sure.
population, so
Yes.
that would be very good.
Mhm, mhm.
Absolutely.
The current grant's all closed out, right?
The 2019 grant is closed out, but we also got a 2022 grant
Right.
for 1.3, and it is not closed out.
Right.
That work
There-
is just.
That work's still being done, so there are still some roads in the county that do not
That's
have the
correct.
fiber that will have at the end of that one.
Yes, and I, just for clarity, I should say that, that 2022 VATI grant is for the last 3% of roads, and by last 3%, that means the 3% that citizens didn't already have funding to do. They had some
Correct.
separate funding to do some of the other roads that are not finished, and they're to be finished by next summer. And then our 2022 VATI grant is to be finished by December of 2023. So by the end of next year, all of the state roads are supposed to be covered. This would just be getting at the kind of the private roads. Does that make sense?
Or an extension, because there's a lot of dead-end roads that still have private drives that go off of it.
Yes, I'm told that this particular application is not for any single drive, no state roads and no single driveways. It's, the state has a separate program for single driveways of people that are income eligible that's been established in the past year. So anybody that's not been covered for that can apply directly to that program. So this is only where there's one or more households, more than one household served by a driveway or a private road.
Well, not getting in your district, but I don't think Hideaway's had it put on it yet.
Yeah, I don't.
There's
so.
several roads yet that,
Right.
from my understanding, it hasn't been put on yet. So hopefully that'll be done between now and 2023.
You said Hideaway is the
Yeah,
name of
Hideaway,
it?
but I think Hideaway would be during this 2021.
So it's a private?
No, it's a state.
It's a dead-end state road.
Okay.
Right.
That's
off
just
of,
one. There's a bunch out there. You don't have to
Yeah.
make a list and don't
Okay.
check on it.
Okay.
We'll just see where we're at. But
Okay.
if they're supposed to have, completed all state roads by 2023,
Yeah.
then there's still several to go.
There are, and that's why I want
That
to
was my
clarify,
point.
it's not just the 3% that's unfinished. They've got other funds, including their own, that are working on other parts of the county,
And-
so.
And as I recall, this one in particular was for areas that are right on the lines.
Generally speaking,
Right.
that's right. It's down in the far southwest corner. There's a corner of Indian Valley, and there's a
West
corner
Central.
up along the Montgomery County line
Right,
and a
West
stretch, so.
Central area, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Right.
yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Reckon not.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is due this month, so if I could get a
You want a motion?
authorization, please.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the application to the grant and authorize appropriate signatures.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, if I might, on the motion to approve the county applying for the newest round of the VATI grants in partnership with citizens and allow staff to do appropriate signatures. Ms. Bechtel,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, we will move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
And with that, we'll move down to new business.
So, Sheriff, I might, the items that we have on new business are namings of drives. So these have come in through the planning office and also through emergency management. If you have any questions, we can go get appropriate staff. Otherwise, we're not aware of any controversy related to either of these items. Let's see, Kim's repeating, all applications are complete and all parties have agreed, so we are aware of no controversy.
Okay, that Wonder Drive's the first one. So, That is your district?
That is my district.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the naming of a road off of Lovell Road as Wonder Way.
I'll second.
Motion second, go ahead, call roll.
All right. I might, on the motion to name a shared drive, Wander Way, which is off of Lovell Road. Map is included in the request, and, trying to see anything else in here I have to read for sure. Consider the request and make decision, yes. On the motion to name that particular noted space, Wander Way, Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, we will alert everyone, their address has changed.
And the next one is off of,
This is, the second one is Spring House Lane.
yeah, it caught me off guard because I was thinking about Springdale. But that's,
Oh.
yes. But
We
but
need a little
anyway.
more creativity in our road names.
Question.
There's a,
So there's a school named Springhouse in my district, and I just don't know if there would be too much confusion. I mean, they're separated by a whole bunch of land in the county, but, I mean, I know why they named it Springhouse, because there's that Springhouse right there. But, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, I'm just noting that.
but I will make a motion to approve Springhouse Lane.
Second.
All right.
Motion is second, go ahead and call roll.
All right, on the motion to name the property, the shared drive off of Secondary Route 642, Connor Lane Southeast, and rename that Springhouse Lane, Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, we will notify them as well. Thank you. That, if I might, Mr. Chair, the next item that's on here was actually something that was requested by your vice chair about discussion about authorization of recurring disbursements and a discussion around that. And I think this comes up related to, as you all know, but the public may not be aware, we sometimes have the bonds pop up and they have to be paid very, very quickly, and sometimes our schedule with the every other week meeting doesn't help with that. So that was how the discussion came up, and if I might defer to Mr. Booth beyond that.
Yeah, a lot of different organizations and groups that I'm associated with, we do this. If you have a recurring expense, such as a loan or a bond payment, pre-authorization for those amounts, and they rarely change. If they do, it's an interest involved thing, which is gonna have to be paid anyway. A lot of the time, you know, if you wanna consider it, you could also include some of the utility bills, you know, like telephones. It still comes into our pack for approval.
Approval, yeah.
But they get to pay them in a timely fashion where we don't get hit with fees or late fees and stuff like that. Just food for thought. I don't know if you want to do that or not, but I think it would help staff in making these and preparing and making these payments in a timely fashion.
Because we've had some come up in the past that came up before our next board meeting.
Right.
And so we had to do something right quick. So something like that, I think they should have the authority to go ahead. Like I say, we gotta approve it to begin with, you know, so, I'm
Well,
good with that.
it's not
yeah.
payments we can get out of.
Right,
anyway.
yeah. Yeah, it's to keep the lights on, so, yeah, and,
Well,
telephones
maybe
working.
for our next meeting, maybe have a list of them,
That's a great idea.
and that way we can see. I'm not asking you to do anything blindly. have a list of the ones that we know are recurring, that sometimes we have problems with, and then maybe we could approve them at our night meeting. And we may get another phone call this month, but at least then going forward, that'll help staff in going ahead and getting them paid in a timely fashion.
Well, we could go ahead, and if something was to come up between now and our next meeting, that, you know, they can go ahead and pay it. You know, if it's one of them recurring ones that, you know. and-
It's
Yeah,
whatever
so-
the board, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you
Yeah.
wanna see a list or
I
if
mean,
you
we
wanna-
could see the list, but I mean, you said that something may come up between.
At least
the
on the
whip.
loans and bonds, that part, if we could go ahead and approve that, that would help a lot. And I was just thinking if we wanted to include some of the utility bills, we could do that too.
We got too good a record, I don't want to see a
Yeah, right.
We got a
mark
pretty
pop
good-
up.
We got a pretty good rating on
Yeah.
paying our bills.
Yeah.
so.
So, yeah, that'll work, so,
Would, you wanna do that as
yeah.
a motion to authorize staff to go ahead and pay, loan and bond payments that come due? Would that cover it? And authorize appropriate signatures? And then if we wanna add something later, we can.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Go ahead.
All right. On the motion to authorize staff to pay loan and bond payments as they come due, but to be reported in the disbursements. And to authorize staff to do appropriate signatures. Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and Mr. Turman.
Yes,
All right, well,
Good.
thank you.
make it a lot easier on staff too.
We'll
Yeah,
sleep
so-
a little better, thank you.
And if anything strange comes up or about any of it, they still can withhold it, even though they have the authorization, they
Oh,
can
yeah.
withhold it, so.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, the next item, I think this is where we added you all added Ms. Bechtold's conversation about personal property tax relief. I think we said it was gonna be 11D, which is where we are.
So we've, had some light discussion about personal property tax relief rate, and I know we're coming up against the deadline when those bills need to get sent out. And other localities have increased their personal property tax relief rate for this year to help alleviate the extra burden from the inflated used car values. And we've had a question answered that we could increase our personal property tax relief rate significantly and still meet our income as budgeted. And I'd like to propose increasing our personal property tax relief rate for this next bill, just for 1 year, to 60% from the current 35.
Are you talking about on the on the?
Cars.
No,
Vehicle.
no, the 35.
It's currently, our tax relief rate is the first 35% of the value.
You just talking about cars?
Yes.
Okay.
Not homes, but
Right.
the personal
Vehicle.
property tax that is,
And not machinery,
no,
not machinery.
correct. Just the vehicle tax.
And the current 35% is based on the amount coming in from the state.
That's,
I think so.
Car tax relief.
right.
Yeah.
Virginia law states localities are required to utilize a subsidy provided by the Commonwealth for local tax relief on the first $20,000 of assessed value for vehicles coded for personal use.
Right.
This year's subsidy would have resulted in a relief rate of 35%. So if we increase the relief rate, reducing which would reduce the taxed value, the taxed amount, people's car tax would remain pretty close to what they were last year. Our income from the tax would remain the same, pretty close to the same as what is in our budget. But our constituents would not see a huge increase in their tax bill this year, as the car values as assessed on January 1st were very inflated. And I believe you asked the Commissioner of Revenue, and yes, the tax relief increase would not decrease our tax income, is what we.
Let's see what it is. I'm not sure what we asked. Hold on a second. I don't know
In
if
the
you
relief
need her to
from
come
the
over.
state, we're getting approximately, I'll say somewhere around 900,000.
Right.
Yep.
It is 925,651.29.
So if that's 35%,
So
So we're looking at a reduction of,
we're not gonna reduce,
the tax revenues coming in, though.
no, we won't. Because if we increase the tax revenue that we have on our budget was based on the old car values.
Right,
So with the huge increase in
Right.
car values, that would make a huge increase in our budget that's not accounted for.
right.
That's not on our budget. So, I know in Montgomery County, they're talking about having a couple $1 million of excess revenue based on this change.
Right.
And instead of us having huge tax bills that are unexpected, we could make an adjustment to the tax relief rate, not changing the tax rate,
Right.
but what's exempted from the taxes. So people's vehicle taxes stay close to the same as last year and not affecting our budget in a negative way from what we'd anticipated in past.
So does the math numbers work? Is that just the magic number of the 60 and the 35 based off of
It's,
what most vehicle values have raised to?
Yeah.
The correlate number is then 60%.
and that'll keep it
That's the-
pretty, that'll make
That's
it,
the match.
it'll actually, the 60% will increase the tax bill just a little bit for most vehicles. But the assessed value from January 1st, the values have already decreased.
Mhm.
So that was just a sharp peak
Right.
that we use as a random date for the assessment value.
Right.
And I'm not asking that just for this year, because things are changing so rapidly.
Right, so you are asking it just for the 1 year.
Just for this 1
Right.
year.
I was thinking Commissioner I'm not disputing, but I was thinking Commissioner Revenue said that the relief rate for this year proposed was somewhere in the 28% rate, not 35.
That was last year. Last year's, the percentage of relief rate was 28.41.
So
Yeah, if I might, so there's I think this is where Mr. Booth's number is coming from that he's quoting. So there's an email to y'all from July 11th from the commissioner. Good afternoon, all. Just wanted to follow up about the increase in personal property values for 2022. We're getting ready to wrap up our personal property for 2022. And then checking with some other localities, et cetera. But to this point, the treasurer and I are getting together tomorrow to figure the PPTRA percent that will be available for this year. The amount of the PPTRA that is given is $925,651.29. Last year, the percentage of relief was 28.44. Once we finish, the treasurer will send a letter to adopt the tax relief for PPTRA. And she notes that the Commissioner's Office is required by Virginia Code Section 58.3-3118 to post the personal property book by September 1st of each year to the treasurer. And they'll start this process the last week of August. That's and that was, I think all of you were included on that back on July 11th.
With the rise in the values, did we have an estimated expectation of what that revenue amount was gonna be? If nothing was changed?
I don't
I mean, I
think-
guess there's no way of really calculating that.
No, there really wasn't. We they gave us kind of a ballpark range, 20, 25, 15%. But I think at least the time, and you may have had other conversations, the last time that Lisa and Kim and I talked, we didn't really have a good handle.
Right, one of the, from WDBJ back in April, City of Danville says, the value of used vehicles for our locality has increased an average of 30%. So that would be probably pretty close to what our values have gone up to across the board. So that 30% of car value increase would be adjusted by the increase of tax relief for this year. And again, our assessment is done January 1st. It doesn't accommodate the changing values over the course of the year.
Right.
I was trying to see if you all wanted, if Mr. Durbin was available, because this is not my area of expertise. I feel I'm flagging and giving you any good advice.
How'd you come up with 60%?
Because the other localities were doing 65% relief. So I figured I'd be on the safe side and ask for 60. A little bit lower to protect our budget.
The treasurer commissioners, or somebody's done the math, that's 60.
That's from Danville, was saying 65% would keep it the same. So they've increased their relief rate for this year. And that would keep their tax revenue the same.
But at the current 60 recommendation, we would be sort of just putting faith back that they did their numbers correct.
I'd almost say to err on the side of caution, if I would be more inclined to want to give relief, but maybe make it at 50%, just to be cautious, be fiscally cautious.
Mr. Durbin? Okay.
Well, I also noticed that some areas,
Hey, Steve.
are requiring payment and then doing a reimbursement.
Yeah, doing a rebate, but that's a lot of work.
And that's a lot of,
Well, I understand it's a lot of work, but it's also covered, you're not giving a rebate to somebody that's not paying their bill.
This is true. This is true.
Mr. Durbin's on the
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, if I might, Mr. Chair, so Mr. Durbin is just called us, and thank you for being so quick and responsive. Okay, so if I might, to catch Mr. Durbin up, the conversation has come up about making an adjustment to the, was it PPTRA, thank you. And they've been discussing the amount and what their options might be. And I quickly felt like I was maybe out of my depth and needed an attorney.
Okay. Okay, so, the thought is to adjust the personal property tax?
Relief rate.
On vehicles.
Okay. Has that not been established for this year?
Not the tax, it's not the tax rate, it's the tax relief rate to adjust.
Right. That is, I mean, tax bills have not already gone out?
No.
No.
Okay. I have been through this before. I don't have it at my fingertips. What's the board's thought? What's the question, I guess?
I would like to, I'm proposing that we increase the personal property tax relief rate from 35% to 65% for this year only, to help keep people's vehicle tax bills close to the same as last year.
Mm-hmm. Have you spoken with the commissioner's office on when the tax bills will be going out?
Yes, she says we have until the end of August. Tax bills go out the 1st of September.
Okay. That does limit your options. What other localities have been doing is, there is a new statute that was effective July 1st that allows you to segregate motor vehicles, pickup trucks, handicap-equipped vehicles, mopeds, motorcycles, etc., as a different class of property, and you could just change the tax rate on that without changing the rest of the personal property tax rate. That is not available for us. In order to get the, we don't have time to do that for this year.
Okay.
I would have to just double check the process for the personal property tax relief rate.
Steve, am I remembering correctly, there's still another alternative, which is more work, is a refund, correct?
What's that?
I'm trying to remember, it seemed like the statute was changed, so they would, if for some reason, if they wanted to do something, they also still have an option of a refund after the tickets are issued and they understand how much more funding there might be there. I think you and I discussed that's the other thing that was changed this year. Maybe I'm mistaken about that.
No, you're correct. That's the route that Henrico County is pursuing. Caroline County is pursuing that. The General Assembly has given you the ability to declare a surplus and refund on both real property, which you had in the past, and now personal property as well. So you could wait until later on to actually see how collections go and determine what your surplus is, and either credit that to taxpayers
It's gonna be hard for people to.
if they've not paid yet, or refund it. And that's Grayson County followed that approach as well. And that would require a public hearing and ordinance.
That's what you call it.
So, but the virtue of that is you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it right away. But you've got time. Another option would be to further delay the the date of collection of taxes to give you some time, but it would require probably an emergency ordinance at your next meeting in order to do that.
No. Really don't want to go down that road. So,
I can understand that. Just trying to.
We've been down that road in the past when we had to. I don't think we want to go back that route again.
So is it, my understanding is we could increase the personal property tax relief rate without a public hearing and make that effective for this next round. If we changed the tax rate, that's where we would need a hearing.
Yeah, to change the tax rate, you'd need an ordinance to, or to declare a surplus, you would need an ordinance. And honestly, that stuff is so statutory driven, I would need to look at the statute on the personal property tax relief.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I can't answer that question at the moment.
that's fine.
Can you look at that and get back to us?
I can. I'm without internet at the moment. What's your time frame?
Oh, between now and 2 o'clock. No pressure.
I was afraid you were going to say that. I will do my best.
Well, I'm just, as a courtesy to a fellow board member, it'd be nice to have it today. I mean, if we have to hold a public hearing, we got a
They could also
quick
do a
time
special
period.
meeting. So your next meeting is the 23rd, which is an evening meeting. And you also, of course, we've done it before, called special meeting.
Well, I'm just saying, if it's found we do need to hold a public hearing to change the relief rate, then, you know, we gotta streamline things if that's the intent. But I understand what the process, the only thing is, doing it that way, it basically does it across the board, and, call me cold, but I'm not inclined to give somebody a break that's not paying their taxes to begin with. But there may not be any other way that it can be done. If it turns out we do have to go to our last meeting, I'd like to see some projected hard numbers.
That's what I'd like to do, period.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, I believe in relation to this, the last time I asked about the unencumbered fund balance number. Need to, I look at everything, so I'd like to know that.
It's not robust.
I'm figuring it's about 2 or less.
It's less.
It's probably less,
A lot less.
but, well, I can be hopeful. But, I'd like to see some actual numbers of what's happening.
It's not that we're not inclined to do it. I just want to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot about it.
Well, we
At what rate we need to do
and
it.
I have to be careful too. We've been somewhat advised that some of the things coming up, we may have to do a tax increase in the spring, even though none of us want to, on the real estate. And we've hit real estate hard the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't want to burden anybody, but in the back of my head is give back now, raise in the spring, the best financial option. I'm just looking at the whole picture. I'm not arguing one way or the other. I'm just
From-
bouncing around in
Right.
my head
It's
how
ju-
we handle it.
I think the hardship is, it's not a 2% raise on the bill that people are
Right.
gonna see. It's gonna be a 30% raise on their vehicle tax bill.
Well,
Not more.
From this
From-
year to last year.
Yes.
From what I've heard, of course, you know how hearsay is, but from what I've heard, that there may be a county or two that's gonna refund this year,
And then take it
and
back
then next year, they're gonna have to take it back plus some.
And
Yeah.
add to the tax.
Right.
In other words, they're playing the politics. I don't want to do that.
You know, I want what's best for their citizens, but I need to cover the county too. You know, and, I'm like Jerry and Linda, I'd like to see some numbers, and that's way we know for sure what percentage we can do. You know, I mean, not that I'm resisting what you're saying, Linda, I appreciate it, but,
Yeah, I'm definitely up for the discussion. When I had felt it was necessary to vote on the real estate tax increase, the two stipulations that I indicated was that the excess was gonna be put into the contingency stabilization. And then the other one was that we would revisit this personal property tax relief. So I hold still to that. But being that it was such a tight budget year this past time, I just want to, and I'm not a big proponent of case studies and all this kind of stuff, but I sort of want to know where the 60 or 65% number, you know, who formulated it or how it came about based off the NADA value. So I'm in agreement that I like the idea of where we're headed to talk about it, but I want to see how that number came to be.
And what that number is.
And what that number, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I could make a suggestion. If you're inclined to take action on the personal property tax relief rate, one option you could do, I'll look at it. If you can do it by a simple motion, I'll advise. If you need to adopt an ordinance, you could adopt an emergency ordinance at your next meeting. That would stay in place for up to 60 days. That would give you time to advertise and then formalize the tax relief rate after public hearing. But you would still be able to give the commissioner's office the guidance they need potentially for tax billing purposes. The only caveat to that is if you pick a different rate on your emergency ordinance, then for practical purposes, you're kind of locked into that rate once you advertise and adopt a formal ordinance.
Whatever that percentage is.
Yeah, whatever that percentage is.
Have we finished with Mr. Durbin for the moment?
yes.
Yeah, knock him off the clock.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, appreciate
All
you
right.
being so quick about it.
I'll kind of text you if I get the answer here as soon as you can get an internet connection.
Okay. All right, thank you, Steve, bye-bye.
So, y'all wanna wait to the night meeting and get some numbers and,
Yeah, let's do that.
yeah,
And once we have the numbers, then we can go yes or no. Or what, somewhere in between, whatever works.
and it'll give us some time to digest what we've heard already.
And if I might clarify, so the numbers you're looking for, of course, are projections at the current rate, and then if it were moved potentially to 60%, and then also what our unencumbered fund balance looks like and our contingency funds look like. We're in the process of trying to work on some of that now to close out. Our holdup on the latter one right now is related to having to close out the books. We had already made a plan to see if you'd be all right with having David Rose and crew come sometime September, maybe as late as October, if you had to work through where all your financial outlook.
And like I say, it's not like we're opposed. I don't think anybody's opposed to her suggestion, but we need to err on the side of caution and make sure that we're doing what's best for everybody. And I don't like to make snap decisions, you know. I like to think about it and have some numbers. So,
Well, we have to make the best financial decisions,
oh, yeah.
too. That has to be a part of it.
I think we're to board time.
Yeah.
Number 12.
So, anybody got anything for board time?
Thank you for the green boxes. I've already got a thumbs up, so.
Well, shall I tell you? I just got a picture of what it looks like today.
Oh, I can't imagine what it looks like today, because they probably didn't close the doors on it.
And whoever sent the buyer up to my boxes, take him back.
Well, just right here.
Because I'm afraid
I
he's,
can see it for real.
Oh, my goodness.
yeah,
Nice.
I'm afraid that now that he's found a
I don't think that was ever
restaurant,
in
he's
the
gonna be
box.
coming back, so.
That's another thing. We've got to get with Steve on these ordinances. Is he coming to our night meeting, or,
I'm sure we can ask him to.
because that right there's, that right there, what's on the box bothers me, but it's what's on the ground. We need to stiffen penalties, and that's a site that you could actually put some cameras if you wanted to.
And the feeding of
Well, I
cats.
think half of Carroll County got new furniture this week, because, I mean, they loaded our boxes up Saturday and Sunday, and then, like I say, when I went by there, that bear had scattered it from there all the way to Buffalo Mountain Road.
And,
Then my neighbor texted me and said, I just seen your bear heading back, you know, so.
and I don't want to upset the apple cart, but maybe sometime in our meetings with staff at the drivers and stuff that go out to these sites, it maybe emphasizes it's not recommended they relay to citizens that if a boxes are full, just pile it on the ground.
That's a violation of state code. That's littering.
Okay.
So,
No names, just a general statement, just,
Fair enough.
I had a long discussion with the citizen that was what they were told to do.
We have had, to Mr. Booth's point, we have had some suggestions about if we could post, if this box is full, your next nearest is 1.2, 2 miles this direction, or something like that. We haven't gotten around to doing signage like that, because it takes time and costs money, but,
I went to the landfill yesterday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. The first box was full, they were still piling stuff on it. The next few boxes up at the landfill now had stuff in it. The last box was about empty.
and that's what it is at Buffalo Mountain. First 5. I mean, it's on the ground, it's on the top and everything, and the 2 on the end are empty. You know, and I haven't figured that out.
it's
You
not
know,
the bear.
Me and you.
No, it's not the bear. Not the bear.
We discussed in general conversation one time about putting a row off at each one of them. I'm wondering if we shouldn't experiment with a spot. The only thing I see wrong with that, I know what Jerry's gonna say, is people don't back up and throw furniture in it. But at least that would get the furniture off the ground.
That's one thing, but that wasn't where I was going.
Yeah, so-
See, the roll-offs don't have lids on them,
Yeah, I know.
and that just opens the buffet for the bears too.
Well, maybe it'd be nice and just sit in the box.
You
and-
think they'd just eat
Yeah,
it
so-
in the box? Well, they would have room. Put them some chairs and some piped-in music.
Actually, I believe that the trash that they spread at Buffalo Mountain the other day was trash that was on the
Outside.
ground because the boxes was full of pallets, fence posts, wire, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's not household goods.
Right.
Yeah, and if I might, one of the things, I think that we've gotten some calls in this last week or two where we've talked to folks about, no, the green box is not for your business use. It is for personal household waste, and people who had lived here a long time were not aware of that.
They, yeah.
So we might need to do
If
some
they could read the big
education.
yellow sign.
And as much as it's been
Yeah, so-
recorded and discussed, now, if it's somebody recently moved here, I'd give them a benefit of the doubt, but,
Any established business knows.
yeah, if they've been established for any length of time, they know.
Agreed.
Well, if that's from y'all, then you're to me and our walkabout, Ms. Chair, if
But
you want.
maybe we could, one time, maybe one site, we could experiment with just putting a row off and just see what it do. And, you know, if people got to putting their furniture in it, that would really help, you know, but we don't want to encourage them to do
Right,
that.
but,
They're already doing it.
yeah, they're already doing it, and that would certainly help as far as having to send somebody out to pick it up off the site.
Right.
It still have to sort it when it gets down here probably, but depending on what it is.
Yep.
Maybe even have a big sign on it, you know, household trash only, you know. Not that they read signs, like I was talking about earlier.
Well,
but,
we do have the possibility of someone willing to help us pay for some friendly reminder signage at the transfer station. Please help us, thank you, kind of tone, as opposed to thou shalt not. So, we'll follow up with that a little bit more as well, so appreciate that. So I'll put on there roll-off and sign.
I'm afraid the most thing that's gonna alert the most is the fines and stuff that the judge hands down.
Well,
Yeah, that's one thing we need to tighten up on our.
That's why I wanted to
Yeah.
talk to him about some of the stuff,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
what was piled up outside there.
so we'll specifically put, if it's all right with y'all, the solid waste ordinance on for discussion at your night meeting on the 23rd. Is that good, everybody?
Definitely.
If that's okay with y'all.
But I'd like to discuss all of this.
Because
Which is
it was posted on Facebook the other night, people had pictures of DeHart store.
Oh, no.
Them, and I mean, it was awful up there. And, you know, along the parkway, they got more bear population than they do on out here, you know. And, you know, he said he didn't, he could understand if the landowner wanted to move, which I went, shh, don't say that. Did I butt in front of you a minute ago? I thought I heard you say something. All right. Anything else? Well, I think we done beat that horse to death, so we'll move on, so.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Just started out as a thank you, but
Look at what happened, look at what happened. So, as usual, I have my list there and a couple other things that I wanted to update you on that came to me while I was driving back last night. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to take yesterday off and deal with some medical stuff. Appreciate it.
Health's more important.
Thank you. Thank you. So on a recreation, we've had a lot of positive activity there. First of all, I don't think that I mentioned that I actually signed off on Jacob's last class. He was technically also an intern with us while working for us. So his graduation with his master's degree will be this weekend, the 13th. It's in Arkansas, so he's not going, but if you see him, feel free to congratulate him on completing his degree in sports administration. It's his master's degree. And related to that, recreation equipment and things, if you've gone by, finishing up the final touches on the outdoor classroom space there. In addition, we already have the signs up for the walking trail and exercise trail associated with that. And all of the materials are going to be available at the library here very shortly for kids to be able to pick up and then go do things with the trail, and maybe have some of them available at the rec center when it's actually completed. In terms of the building, the current building update for the recreation building is probably still another 5 weeks or so. We're held up on a couple of things that haven't been delivered yet. So for that reason, we really haven't started scheduling anything out there yet. Just they've been cleaning out and sorting and trashing things down here to get ready for the move. Other things the chairman had asked, and then we all discussed putting together a formal recreation policy document. And so we've started circulating that with a small group and then sending it out to a couple more folks to get some comment and feedback. And then when I get all that back, we'll bring it back to you all, just as something to foreshadow a little bit. Our recommendation would be to actually change the name of the department to Parks and Recreation, or if you want Recreation and Parks, but to recognize that it's become more than the Recreation Authority. And I know that was you all's goal when you took it over, was to grow the recreation part, but also do some other things. So over time, that would be the goal. So that's part of what's on there. And so I'm not asking you for a decision now, but just wanted you all to give that some thought.
Should be the Floyd County Parks and Recreation Department, or Department of Parks and Recreation.
Something,
however.
yeah, something that recognizes it's more than organized recreation sports, because we do have the 2 trails there and the outdoor classroom and some other things. And maybe, who knows, maybe we'll be able to do some other things that generate some funds and also make people in the community happy about their system. And a little less upset about whatever level of tax you all decide to levy. So, personnel update. We are finally back to very close to full now. So you all have probably met Sydney this morning if you hadn't met her before. She's been doing a great job for us. And then we have Jenny Tolbert has started with us yesterday. And she is taking, she came back. Yeah, we followed our rule of not announcing until they came back a second day. Well, you just never know. So she was here and she sat in a little bit. So we'll see if she comes back a third day or if you guys scared her off. But so far, Kim hasn't scared her off. I wasn't here yesterday, so it might be you, it might be me if she doesn't show up again. But in any case, she has a lot of experience in bookkeeping and finance matters, and so we're hopeful that she'll be able to help us continue to wander through the world of Bright until we end up finding something else. So we're grateful to have her here. Grant update, just in case we get something together. I didn't want it to come out of the blue, but as you know, the staff and I have been nosing around a little bit about, is there any grant funding to look at the possibility of better utilizing that about 3-ish acres that are behind the EMS building and between that and the nursing home, that has a tendency to flood, and that now cause the nursing home a tendency to flood. So Kevin's been able to find one possibility that's actually related to hazard mitigation funds. And the nursing home being right there and unfortunately being at risk of flooding will maybe help with that. And Ladina and I have also been talking to some folks about some planning money from a conservation organization, so we could not only hopefully stop the flooding, but be able to use it for something more useful. Pondish-like.
Justin's fish.
His fishing pond, I'm still a fan of coon dog races, but you know, that's still my plan.
We can put a track around the pond.
No, they gotta go through, they gotta chase the bird through.
Well,
Yeah.
Those are fun. I haven't been to one for a while.
But anyway, y'all let me know if you have opinions about that, but since it would be, you know, kind of a capital kind of thing, I wanted to make sure that you all were aware we were considering that. We haven't written anything yet because they're not due yet.
I think it's been a problem for the nursing home for a good while. And with the amount of water we've been getting this year.
It's even worse.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well,
I know
and
the fire department has to go down there red often and pump the basement out, so.
yeah, and anytime anybody kind of along that stretch moves any of their own property around, then it makes things worse. So that's part of what we were thinking about. Other things, just wanted to confirm, for our next day meeting, we had talked about using some of that time to have Kevin Bird come and finish the prioritization process we kind of started way back in the spring. there are two, depending on your interest, and you can let me know now or a little bit later. We have two other pieces that we could potentially add, neither of, one of, both of. One, I had talked to Kevin about if he wanted Eli from his staff to come, I think it's Eli, yeah, come and talk about what are some of the transportation funding opportunities, lack of opportunities, state rules around that kind of stuff about, anyway, if we wanted to ever look at any state road money separate than just the maintenance money we have in the little 6-year road plan. So he's prepared to do that, but if you all choose not to do that, he won't be offended. But he can talk to us a little bit more about that. And then the other option, depending on the timing, is maybe have David Rose come and be able to present a little bit more about financial picture and kind of how he sees things as our finance folks. So those are both potential possibilities, or if you decide that's too much, we can do neither. It's up to y'all, but just.
I think both of them would be real helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is all part of, trying to get you all more background much earlier before we really get into the details of the budget process to give more background.
Especially our new members, it would really help them out.
Yeah, so then you'll have a lot more knowledge. We can help you have a lot more knowledge to make good decisions. Let's see, the other two things that I have is we have been, a group in town has offered to go ahead and purchase, or I think they're gonna pay for the whole thing. If not, we'll pay for part of it. A pull-behind backhoe for our Parks and Recreation Department to be able to use on our trails. And we're gonna get a very nice price on that as well. So wanted to let you know about that. And then in addition to that, we had endeavored to have the RFP together for going public with taking the EMS to a third party. I know we've talked about it. Billing, sorry, thank you, EMS billing, yes, EMS billing. Just so I don't want any more confusion because of me. To move the billing portion of EMS with our current stipulations, and so that's part of what we wanted to try to double check, that we were making sure we were following what you all's policy position has been to date. Because I was out yesterday, we didn't get it completed, so we'll send you the draft, and you feel free to send us comments, and then we can take it up for a vote at the next meeting, if that's all right with y'all. But then if you have questions, concerns, we can get that all together before the next meeting. And my apologies, we didn't get it done sooner.
Where were we on the bid process for mowing of lawns and stuff? Did we get no one? No one? After all of that, people clamoring, then nobody? Okay. Just interested in finding.
Sometimes I just like to.
Yeah, okay, just.
Yep.
Okay.
They like to hear their self-talk.
Yep, just wanted to follow up on that one.
Yeah, we did, I will say, the folks that have offered to help us pay for the backhoe, pull-behind backhoe, have requested if we would get a nice weed eater for in-between times, because we have really basically no mowing-related and that kind of equipment at all.
Well, we used to, but
Yeah.
run down.
But they got tired of keeping the gas and oil in the closet at the courthouse. So, the judge didn't like it.
You talking about one of them backhoes that has the motor on it, it's on a little trailer, and you tow it behind,
I think so, they sent me a picture.
Pull it with a gator or something.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that would be ours.
Mhm.
yeah, but they need to be real careful with them,
Okay,
because sometimes they don't do what they're advertised to do.
okay.
And they do tip over pretty easily.
And we need, well, that's where we need
Yeah.
to make sure our employees are the ones that run
Only.
it, not volunteers.
Mhm.
As much as their volunteerism is appreciated,
Yep,
not them, but our employees, and of course, they have to go through the training.
yep, absolutely.
I started by one time, it was a used dealer, and he told me, he said, I hate to kill my sales, but he said, run. You see, if you don't put money in that, get one that's on a, you know, you can buy those small lawn tractors that's got them, and it would be a lot safer. You know.
Yeah, I've seen them down to small enough, you can take a small lawn mower and, you know, and you think you're doing something.
Yeah. But Tony Weller says, buy you a good shovel and
Go on.
So, but, that's just my 2 cents worth. I think they need to be careful with what they buy, so.
Might be better off just renting one.
I'm sorry.
It might be better off just renting a backhoe.
That's right. That's right. Small backhoe. You can get them with a track hose for a pretty reasonable price for a day.
Or at least one of those pull behinds, it's about like what you want to use.
Yeah.
And try to have it dried out for a while.
Right.
Yeah, have them bring one for a demonstration. No correspondence other than what we've already had. Okey-dokey. God, I can't believe that.
Make a motion to adjourn if you're ready.
I'll take it. Of course, my work's still back here. So, but, and actually, I got a meeting at 3:30, and I do need to.
I gotta go home and feed a calf.
Yeah. Well, I got 3 loads of that milk, but I had to rent a dump trailer and haul it from one spot to another, so. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Catch up.
All right, on the motion to adjourn, Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
And Mr. Turman.
Yes.
All right, we stand adjourned.